Yo, what is going on, guys? It's your boy the Golden Boy, and today we are back on Apex Legends, and today what I have for you guys is ALCs versus Classic. Now, I'm going to get into this a little bit because I get a lot of questions about ALCs, and is ALC better than Classic, and I'm just going to go over some things that are me personally. So, first off, we're going to go right into the stat page, and gameplay-wise, I think the only thing that I have that's different is auto sprint. I put auto sprint on. That's just personal preference, nothing too crazy. And then taking damage while in the death box. I don't know if you guys have this turned on or off, but I definitely recommend having this off so you can get those easy shield swaps very quickly, because if you're in a death box anyway and you get kicked right out of it, odds are you're probably just going to die anyway. Very rarely are you going to survive that, so you might as well try and get the armor swap, and then you'll be able to make a play, like if you're in a mid fight when there's like a bunch of boxes around and stuff like that. But going into something else that is mostly about personal preference, but I'm on 104 FOV. You want your sprint view minimal shake on minimal, because minimal just reduces a lot of the like sway and like jitter and everything like that. So yeah, 104 is what I switched to this season. I was on 100, so I think anywhere from 100 to like 110. I think in my personal opinion 110 is a little bit stretching it, to be honest with you. So I pretty much prefer 104, so I think 100 to 104 would be like the perfect little medium between there, and I definitely recommend that. My audio just doesn't really matter. It's all about personal preference and my headset and everything. Before we go into the actual settings themselves, I'm going to go to the LCs, and I'm going to go to per optics, because I get a lot of questions about my per optics, and I do not have these turned on, so everything on my LCs is strictly going to be for my my scopes and everything like that. So dead zone 0, outer threshold is at 2%. I'm on regular response curve, so this is pretty much Classic, just tweaked with ALCs to get that fine-tune aiming and adjusting and everything like that. I am on 350. I used to play on like 500, which is kind of crazy to me because I was just super used to like the super high sense, and ever since I got like some scuff controllers here and there, like depending on the controller, it just feels a little bit different. So I ended up raising this down, and I feel like I'm a lot more consistent with my hip fire and everything the lower the sense is. And that's another thing that you'll see in this is like the lower your sense is, not for your aim down sights, but just for like your overall, it's just completely easier to aim with hip fire, and you feel the aim assist stick a little bit more. So my pitch is at 280. Turning extra yacht is 220. This is like just how much more fast it is when your stick is like all the way at maximum, and I like having it a bit faster than just 350. So my ADS is 156, 115. This is like, I wanted it at 155, but I don't even care enough to like bring it down just by a little bit one. The only thing that I have turned down is my ramp up time, and that's the thing I want to get into with like ALCs. When finding your like ALCs and tweaking them, look around for other people's ALCs and see which one feels the best for you, and then tweak it to your advantage. So like someone's ALCs like Jen Burton or something like that might feel decent, but it might feel too fast in like a certain. I wanted it at 155, but I don't even care enough to like bring it down just by a little bit one. The only thing that I have turned down if I look for someone's settings or whatever, but I remember having some and then tweaking them to around like this that made me feel, you know, pretty decent, and then I ended up switching things up and down. But yeah, I used to have this at 135 and 95, I believe. I've had this all the way up before. I've had these down before. I've had all of them down before, except for just these two. I've had just this one up before. So like, yeah, I have a lot of experience when it comes to like dabbling into ALCs, and I also feel like, see, this is like this is just like someone who's been in the range and then just like mess with them and notice like small little adjustments. I noticed that if you bring these down and you keep this one up, it's a little bit easier to track, but it's a little bit harder to control the recoil from a longer range. And then when it comes to having all of them up, like this one all the way up, I feel like it's a lot harder, not a lot harder, but like it is definitely noticeably harder to pull down and keep your recoil from like bringing that pull upward. So like your left or right will be fine, and I feel like the tracking is also very good, except for the pull is a little bit harder to control when it comes to pulling down, especially on the iron sights and stuff like that. But yeah, I like having these two up, and then I like having this one up, and I feel like for me personally it feels a bit more controlled when it comes to like being sticky. I feel like the tracking could be a little bit better. Like if I were to bring this one all the way up, I feel like the tracking would be a little bit better. But when it comes to like pulling down that recoil and getting those shots to like smoothly connect, I feel like these two and then this one up just me personally just feels very good. And then obviously these ones are just, this is just your aim assist and everything like that, so we leave those. But I wanted to just go ahead and like talk about like ALCs versus classic, because I've played on 4.4 before, I've played 5.4, I've played 4.3, and they all feel very good if you get used to them and stuff like that. I'm still not warmed up, so if I'm just like shooting and it looks a bit weird sometimes, that is just because I'm not warmed up to the game at the moment. But yeah, talking right about it, we're gonna go to 4.4 cents here in a second, and I will show you like the differences between like some of these. Like I play on like a little bit faster of a sense right here. You can kind of tell like 350 is like, it's not super fast, but it's faster than the majority. Like it's definitely like around 5. It's probably around like 6 sensitivity. So like you just got to get used to that, and then you'll like see that like up close, it can kind of be like, yeah, it can kind of be like fast. Like it's hard to like jitter my like stuff like that. Like it's a little hard to like hip fire up close when it comes to the target moving around. Especially if I'm like doing that, like aiming in and out at the same time, it can definitely throw your aim off, because I have a lower sense when it comes to aiming in, but when it comes to aiming out, it is a lot faster. So we are able to beam from long ranges fairly easily without a lot of like strain or resistance, and that is just because the ALCs that I have to like tweaked and getting used to them, I'm very used to controlling the recoil from long ranges. So what we're going to go ahead and do is go ahead and turn this off. I want to talk about some of the pros that it is with like 4.4 cents. With 4.4 cents is you can be extremely consistent, like 4.4, 4.3, 5.3. You can be extremely consistent, like up close. If a target's moving up close and you're on 4 sensitivity, like all you have to do is completely just stand here pretty much. Like you can just stand here and just do this, and most of the bullets are going to go to the target. And it's because 0.6 aim assist with such a low sense, it's just there's no like sudden like sporadic movement with your joystick. Like if you have a sensitive joystick and you're in a gunfight and you're trying to do this and stuff like that, so like your aim might go to the left or right a little bit here and there, and like it'll be hard to track the target. But like yeah, this lower sense of like 4.4 is definitely a lot easier to track. But one con I noticed about classic compared to ALCs, especially from like going straight from ALC like right to a classic like right now, is there is severely more resistance like upward like that when it comes to initially controlling your weapons. Like you can still control them very well, and what I've noticed about classic is it takes a little bit more effort in terms of like controlling your recoil, but you're not going to be as consistent as you are on ALCs when it comes to the recoil control from far ranges. You can still be as consistent with classic, you can still be consistent with ALCs, but I feel like you're going to be more consistent when it comes to mid to long range with ALCs by far, because if you fine tweak your settings to have, to try and have as much recoil resistance as you possibly can, it's definitely going to be in your benefit. I'm not saying that you can't do this shit on 4.4, because like obviously look, on 4.4 you can still beam from very far away, and then you have all the benefits of being like up close and stuff. And it takes a lot of getting used to, because like I've been on ALCs for such a long time, and like as you can see there, like it's a little bit harder to control some recoil sometimes here and there. And that's what I've noticed about classic, is it's not as consistent all the time. Like where it's like, if I'm gonna beam someone from this far away and I'm used to my ALCs, I know for a fact that I can more than likely beam this target just like that. But if I'm sitting here on classic, for a lot of the time, it could be inconsistent. Like it's a little bit harder to pull, left and right sometimes. It's a little bit harder to pull up and down. You just got to get used to the, sensitivity, and it's going to be a lot more effort. So that's what I've noticed personally about ALCs compared to classic. Now, which one would I prefer? I would probably prefer, well, I play on ALC, so I would definitely prefer ALCs. But if you want to be more consistent, like if I was going to play in AGLs or going to play something that's very competitive, something that is very serious for money, honestly, nice big ass truck in the background, but I would play 4.4 or 4.3 when it comes to a large tournament or something along those lines, because I know that those settings are going to be extremely effective up close, where a lot of the gunfights are going to happen, with PKs, SMGs, stuff like that. And I'm also going to be effective from mid to long range. It probably varies on PC. On PC, it's probably a lot easier to control these recoils, because the 0.4 and the larger frames is definitely a massive help. So I definitely think that classic would be the way to go. But ALCs are also very nice when it comes to just getting gameplays and just looking, flashy, looking just I get more of an excitement playing on ALCs than I would on 4-4 or 4-3. I feel like it can be very normal, very boring, very just, you know, aim shoot. And it's definitely harder to have more optional I don't know how to explain it, but your movement's going to be better on a higher sensitivity as long as your reaction time is very high. Not saying you can have decent movement on lower sensitivities, but it's going to be a lot better on a higher sensitivity. It's just how it is. But in my opinion, I would recommend ALCs. Try them out. Try and dabble into something that is effective for you. But if you play on 4-4 and you play on 4-3, 5-4, and you are very good on those settings and you feel very comfortable on those settings, I do not recommend you switching, because overall consistency down the long run, I think that if I would have stayed on 4-4, I'd be a lot more consistent right now. In terms of like getting like higher damage games and more gameplays and winning more gunfights and stuff like that. But I just have more fun on ALCs. So yeah, that is it for my ALCs versus Classic, guys. I know it was a bit of a long one and I wanted to go in depth for you guys, but yeah, if you guys need any ranked or 24Ks or anything like that, go ahead and message me on PSN or Twitter if you guys need some help with boosts and everything like that. I'll help a few people out for the rest of the season. There's like 25 days left, so if you guys are struggling with Masters or Pred or anything like that, just go ahead and hit me up. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.